Good evening, everyone. My name is John Lombardo, and I am running for select board in Tewksbury. I want to apologize early on that I have some 4-year-olds at the house right now making some noise. So if you hear stuff in the background, it's just the kids. So today I want to discuss what is the difference. It's basically this is going to be a civic education video, and then also a little background about me as far as stances go. So let's discuss the first thing, and you're going to ask me, what am I talking about? So it's what is a municipal independent versus an independent? Because I consider myself a municipal independent. So what that means is that I'm somebody who runs as an independent in the municipal level, but I try to keep social networks and leadership at a safe distance because we try to value the positions and prioritize that. So a lot of the times when, when you run for state positions, you hear people say that they're independents. They don't belong to a party. At the municipal level, most people don't belong to parties. It mostly be groups, social networks. So that's why I like to say at the municipal level, I'm a municipal independent, meaning I like to just run for the positions, be my own person, and try to stay out of the social networks as best as possible. Not because I don't like people, don't like working with them. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I love working with people. It's just, we just go there for a job and I want to bring my ideas. So a municipal independent, we don't rely on endorsements. So you'll never see endorsements come out for someone like us. Our endorsements come from the people, not from groups. Typically, we are grassroots and we're not networked in, meaning again that we don't belong to any social groups. We are, you won't see us sprout up around social media through conventional established lines that are in town. And you won't be hearing any endorsements from select board members or us walking around. And our stances are purely our stances, absolutely no influence from people because we value just being a trusted voice for the community and being a professional. That's what it is. Now, we can discuss kind of who I am. I mentioned before that I am someone that is a Christian. Obviously, translate my faith through my leadership, but I'm a professional, right? Work in corporate America. You try to work with everybody. Get everyone has different backgrounds. There's no not trying to push anything or anyone. I'm also a center. I lean conservative. I first started out in politics, years ago. I was considering like, should I join a political party? I think everybody does that. Should I join the Republican Party? But after some time, I decided this isn't for me. I meet with my pastor weekly and he really keeps me grounded. And I say, this isn't why I'm getting into politics. I really don't want to join a political party. I want to just work with the people directly and be the best leader I can and work with different groups. That's what I want to do. So I decided to go that route. And then I love community service. Another thing is I have my own stances. You can find those on www. Lombardo for the number 4 the people.com. Learn more information there. So now there could be candidates out there that kind of sound just like me. This is another common thing you'll see in any municipal election. On paper, there could be a candidate who is Christian. He is an independent. Remember, independent versus municipal independent. Try to figure those two out. And then he does, he or she might do community service. They're aligned with some of my stances with slight caveats on them. So it's important, and I don't like to make videos jabbing at somebody. That's not what I want to do. I want to be able to weed out early on who I am as a person and to really differentiate that. Now, if there's people that are like want to correlate a kind of who I am in some way, a lot of people then, a lot of my voter base that I have, especially the conservatives, they like the idea that I'm an outsider. So if someone's kind of lining up with me, then you can be reassured that having an outsider voice is really important. And that will be one of the positives of voting for me. So what are the pros and cons then being a, municipal independent? So we can discuss that. Well, we'll discuss the cons at first, right? So we're not networked in. We won't be popping up everywhere. Our name won't be getting out there at the inner circles. If it does, there might be communication twists about who I am. You never know, right? We're not. We're kind of the outsiders, so you never know what can happen. But that's one thing, right? And another thing is our stances typically will never give allegiance to certain groups, and that can make it harder to attract voters, especially when you have low voter turnout. That's why someone like me relies heavily on voter turnout and having a diverse group. So, but that's another one. And we really rely on grassroots movements. So grassroots meaning that people who just really support us, that really like us, and they're doing the best to get our name out there. That's it. They're typically not the people in the network. They're typically outsiders. They just love, who I am as a person, my ideas, and they're supporters of me. Positives though, and this is a really good thing to go over, and this is what I really like, is that like I said, we keep social networks, leadership, we keep them at a distance. We really value community trust. It's a big thing. We really want to be an anchor, especially me running for select board, is being an anchor to that group. It's being a balance. So a lot of people like my stances, and then they'll just like having a secondary trustworthy voice on the board to work with everybody. Because especially in public health and safety, as people notice that when it comes to public health and safety, I put my foot down and I don't budge on it. And I'm willing to speak up because I value the professionalism over relationships. I have a track record of that. And obviously, you want to handle things behind closed doors. But if you can, you got to come out public with it, right? You got to go to hearings. You got to speak publicly because that's what public officials do. It's never anything personal. It's just what we do. So a lot of people like that. And it's a good thing. We typically have a diverse voting group. Like I said, I have a conservative base, and then I also have people who are liberal leaning, and they just like the idea of having someone of my values in there. And this is why we really rely on voter turnout, because we're not expecting people, the 4% that show up every year, to vote for someone like me. We're really heavily want voter turnout. So those are kind of the pros and cons. Now, if I decided to go through, which a lot of people do, and we'll discuss this, like if I wanted to go through the established networks, I do feel that it would kind of take away from who I am. And this is why I didn't want to do that. Like, I obviously want to work with everybody. You always want to be friends as much as you can. But at the same time, I don't want to be a part of groups that I have to kind of like worry about. If I get them upset, am I going to lose a base? Am I going to lose support? I don't care about that stuff. That's not me. I'm getting into politics to be my own person, to serve the people directly. So that's why I decided going up that route, even though it might be a fast track and I can get endorsements and get my name out there and you kind of walk around, people get to know you. I decided that's just not the route I ever want to go up. I like doing it my way. I believe that every American should always be out there doing it their way. And I'm not saying that anyone I'm running against or anybody that enters the race, that this is what they're doing, because I don't know. And it's up to the voter to look at that. So as far as voter education, I always tell people before you go and vote, even though candidates might look identical on paper, there's vast differences between the two, vast ones. It's up to you as the voter to really go out there and search, because there's going to be pros and cons, like how I came up in my campaign. It's a grassroots movement. I'm a municipal independent. There's going to be some unknowns there, and that's where relationship buildings come over time. Learning about my stances, who I am. But look at other candidates. How did they come about? What are the pros and cons for that? And then look at our stances. So My stances will never give credence to any group or select board. It's just like, you get what you get with me. That's kinda how it is. And I try to make the most informative decision with absolutely no influences possible for the benefit of the community. And I try to be as realistic as possible too. So you'll never hear me try to explain anything away or say give credence to anything or any group. That's not how I am. And so you always got to look at people's stances and just decide, like, you know, even though we align in some ways, there's gonna be differences on how on each one. Every single one, there's gonna be a difference. We have different personality traits. You have to get to know us both. Not saying either one of us are bad people. You just got to get to know us. And the other thing is, what leadership skills are we bringing to the table? What visions do we have for the community? What ideas? Like, look, what do we want to do? You know, one aspect that I love, like one thing I say municipal independents love is collaboration. We love, like, we want to work with the school committees, the open space committee. We want to work with the board of health and come up with ideas that can be really beneficial for the community and strive towards for in the future. So today, that's really just what I want to highlight is just a quick voter education about who I am, things to look out for when you go to vote. Thank you.